Dear friend, the Lord Jesus loves you. Yes, he loves you and he wants you to also love him back. Thank you for finding time to watch this video. Do well to share it as well. Our topic today is, how many times can a priest celebrate Mass in a day? I believe, considering recent events about COVID-19 and the precautions of observing social distancing, even in church, it is obvious that the number of parishioners present at Mass would be reduced. What happens then if all of them want to attend Mass? The quickest answer probably would be to celebrate more Masses in a day. That looks simple, but is it as simple as it appears? I am sure some priests are already thinking of celebrating 4, 5, or 6 Masses in a day. Wow. This is the reason why I am sharing this teaching with you, my dear friend. It is based on church teachings and documents. And it is in this that I find security, because what we would be doing is trying to find answers from the church about the multiplication of Masses. Please be patient and don't lose heart. You are going to learn a lot of things, I promise. But dear friend, right from the onset, I would like you to get familiar with 2 terms. One is bination or binate. This is when a priest celebrates 2 Masses in a day. And then 2 is trination or trinate. This is when a priest celebrates 3 Masses in a day. In the Code of Canon Law, Canon 905 has 2 paragraphs, and it treats the subject of bination and trination. Canon 905, paragraph 1 states, and I quote, "A priest is not permitted to celebrate the Eucharist more than once a day, except in cases where the law permits him to celebrate or concelebrate more than once on the same day," unquote. So, dear friend, the general rule is that priests may celebrate Masses daily, but they are forbidden from celebrating or concelebrating more than once each day. This can only happen when the law permits it. We must bear in mind that the Eucharistic celebration is a spiritual activity which requires seriousness, solemnity, and avoidance of anything that would distract from its spiritual value. According to John P. Bill et al., this law, and I quote, is to prevent the abuse of priests celebrating multiple Masses for inadequate reasons or from improper motives, unquote. Yes, priests are human like us, like every one of us, and they are subjected to the temptations of all humanity. The law is also fully aware that if the number of Masses celebrated by priests are not regulated, there would be the temptation of celebrating them hurriedly and routinely because of the pressure of having to finish one in time to begin another. So you see, the celebration of Mass is work, and every priest who celebrates it with the necessary preparation required would tell you they become exhausted after every Mass. At least I have experienced that. Let us look at the principal occasions when the law permits a priest to celebrate or concelebrate more than once in a day. We shall read from the general instruction from the Roman Missal, which is popularly called the Gem GIRM number 204, which states, and I read, for a particular reason having to do either with the significance of the rite or of the festivity, the faculty is given to celebrate or con-celebrate more than once on the same day in the following cases. A priest who has celebrated or con-celebrated the Chrism Mass on Holy Thursday may also celebrate or con-celebrate the evening Mass of the Lord's Supper. B, a priest who has celebrated or con-celebrated the Mass of the Easter Vigil may celebrate or con-celebrate Mass during the day on Easter Sunday. C, on the Nativity of the Lord, that is Christmas Day, all priests may celebrate or con-celebrate 3 Masses, provided the Masses are celebrated at their proper times of day. D, on the commemoration of all the faithful departed, that is All Souls Day, all priests may celebrate or con-celebrate 3 Masses, provided that the celebration take place at different times and that the norms established regarding the application of second and third Masses are observed. And I'm making a note here. There is a debate among canonists as to whether this law allowing trination on All Souls Day is still permitted or abrogated. We shall not get into that debate. And then E says that a priest who con-celebrates with a bishop or his delegate at a synod or pastoral visitation, or con-celebrates on the occasion of a meeting of priests, may celebrate Mass again for the benefit of the faithful. This holds also with due regard for the prescription of law for groups of religious. Dear friend, the second paragraph of Canon 905 states, and I quote, if there is a shortage of priests, the local ordinary can allow priests to celebrate twice a day for a just cause, or if pastoral necessity requires it, even 3 times on Sundays and holy days of obligation, unquote. The source of this canonical provision is the 1963 Motu Proprio, a letter of Pope Paul VI called Pastorale Munus, number I2, which gives diocesan bishops the faculty, and I quote, to permit priests, because of the scarcity of clergy and for a just cause, to celebrate Mass twice on weekdays and even 3 times on Sundays and holidays of obligation, provided there is a genuine pastoral need. The difference between Canon 905, paragraph 2, and the Pastorale Munus just quoted is that whereas the latter, Pastorale Munus, gives the faculty to the diocesan bishop, the former, that is the Code of Canon Law, extends it to all local ordinaries. In order to keep to the focus of today's discussion, I will not go into who an ordinary is, but suffice to say that Canon 134, paragraph 1 states, and I quote, in addition to the Roman Pontiff, by the title of ordinary are understood in the law diocesan bishops and others who, even if only temporarily, are placed over some particular church or a community equivalent to it according to the norm of Canon 368, as well as those who possess general ordinary executive power in them, namely vicars general and episcopal vicars. So I leave that. So if you talk of a local ordinary apart from the bishop, we can talk of the vicar general and then the various episcopal vicars. But that is a topic for another day. Let us pay attention, my dear friend, to the fact that Canon 905, paragraph 2, permits priests to binate or trinate only as presiders of the Eucharistic celebration and not as concelebrants, except for the cases we have mentioned from the gem. Other situations that may require priests to celebrate 2 masses each day are shortage of priests or a just cause. So we don't just get up and say, I want to celebrate 2 or more masses in a day. There should be a reason, and a good one at that. The bishop or the local ordinary will look at the situation and determine whether it is a just cause or not. In the case of trination on Sundays and holy days of obligation, permission would be granted only when there is genuine pastoral necessity. An example of this is a priest who has many outstations. It may be permitted to celebrate at most 3 masses on Sundays and holy days of obligation. My dear friend, thank you for your patience. And so following up to this point, I can see that you really want to learn, and I'm happy you are still with me up to this point. It must be noted that every parish is like a big family. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think there is any festival that is divided into tracks or schedules for the people. One people celebrate their festival together to show their oneness. In much the same way, it is ideal for every parish to celebrate the Eucharist together without resorting to the multiplication of masses. We cannot worship God out of convenience. That is too easy and too cheap. We must sacrifice something. In fact, we serve God and worship God in season and out of season. My dear friend, kindly permit me to buttress my point by quoting another document called Eucharistic Mysterium, Instruction on Eucharistic Worship, issued in 1967. The number 26 talks about the celebration of Sunday around the bishop and in parishes. I read some excerpts, I won't read all. I quote, it says, "It is fitting that the sense of ecclesial community, especially fostered and expressed by the celebration of Sunday Mass in common, should be encouraged both around the bishop, particularly in the cathedral church, and in the parish assembly where the pastor takes the place of the bishop." It continues, "It is preferable that small religious non-clerical communities and other similar communities, especially those that work in the parish, should take part in the parish mass on these days, that is, Sundays and feast days. As regards the time and number of masses to be celebrated in parishes, the good of the parish community should be kept in mind, and the number of masses should not be so multiplied as to weaken the effectiveness of the pastoral effort. For example, if through the great number of masses, only small groups of the faithful were to come to each of the masses in a church that can hold a great number of people. So if the church is big enough to contain everybody, there is no point in multiplying masses unless there's a just cause. And another example would be if, for the same reason, the priests were so overburdened by their work as to make it difficult for them to fulfill their ministry adequately. The priests are also human and they can be overburdened. So maybe in our attempt to celebrate more masses, we may be doing things routinely and we may not be that effective. That is what the document is saying. So you see, we are dealing with a very important matter, and rightly so, because the Eucharist is the source and summit of the Christian life, Lumen Gentium, number 11. In those situations that require dispensation from the diocesan bishop, he may do so on case-by-case basis. However, John P. Bill et al. States, the bishop may not give general permission without an indult from the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments, unquote. So my dear friend, in brief, all we have said is, 1, bination is when a priest celebrates 2 masses in a day, and trination is when a priest celebrates 3 masses in a day. 2, the general rule is that priests may celebrate masses daily, but they are forbidden from celebrating or concelebrating more than once each day. 3, diocesan bishops can permit priests, because of the scarcity of clergy and for just cause, to celebrate Mass twice on weekdays and even 3 times on Sundays and holidays of obligation, provided there is genuine pastoral need. 4, it is ideal for every parish to celebrate the Eucharist together without resorting to the multiplication of masses. And then 5, too many masses in a day can overburden a priest and make it difficult for him to fulfill his ministry adequately. My dear friend, if you have enjoyed this video, your comments and your questions are welcome. Why don't you also share it with your friends? Invite them to visit my YouTube channel and subscribe to it so that we can all keep deepening our Christian Catholic faith. I wish you joy and peace, and I thank you.